The house stood at the end of a forgotten road, cloaked in shadow. Its broken shutters dangled on rusted hinges, and the warped wooden planks of its facade seemed to sigh under the weight of years of abandonment. Amelia, a 10-year-old girl with golden curls and wide blue eyes, stumbled into its foreboding embrace, soaked to the bone from the relentless storm that had chased her through the woods. She shouldn't have wandered so far. She knew the warnings. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Never leave the village after dark. But the lure of fireflies and the crunch of autumn leaves beneath her feet had tempted her deeper and deeper into the forest until the path home vanished. Now she was lost. Lightning tore through the sky, illuminating the hulking silhouette of the decrepit house. It was her only shelter against the storm. She hesitated at the threshold, the warped front door ajar as if inviting her in. Something about the air felt wrong, heavy, thick with a sense of foreboding. But when the thunder cracked like the roar of an angry beast, she stepped inside. Inside, the house smelled of mildew and something faintly metallic. The grand foyer was draped in cobwebs, and the once elegant chandelier hung crooked, its crystals dull with grime. Rain pelted the broken windows, and the wind whispered through the cracks in the walls, carrying with it a faint moan that could have been the house settling, or something else. Amelia shivered, hugging her soaked cardigan tightly around her small frame. Her footsteps echoed as she tiptoed further inside, each creak of the floorboards sounding like a scream in the oppressive silence. She called out, her voice trembling. "Hello? Is anyone here?" She moved toward the staircase, its banister splintered and blackened with rot. A flash of lightning illuminated the hallway above, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a shadow move. Her breath hitched. "Hello?" She tried again, her voice barely above a whisper. A low thud echoed from upstairs, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, and heavy. Amelia froze. Her heart pounded against her ribs as the sound grew louder, each step reverberating through the hollow house. Then it stopped. "Little mouse?" a gravelly voice called out, dripping with malice. "I know you're here." Panic surged through her small body, and she darted toward a broken sofa in the corner of the room, crouching behind its tattered frame. Her breaths came in shallow gasps as she tried to stay quiet. She peeked through a tear in the fabric and saw him. The man emerged from the shadows at the top of the staircase, his towering frame illuminated by the flickering light of a storm-lashed window. He was monstrous. His face was a twisted mask of scars and grime, his lips curled into a cruel smirk. In his hand he clutched a knife, a massive jagged blade smeared with something dark, blood. Amelia's stomach churned as she realized the stains on his tattered clothes weren't mud. The man descended the stairs slowly, dragging the knife along the banister. The sound sent shivers down her spine. Come out, little mouse," he crooned, his voice thick with menace. "Don't make me hunt you. I'd rather you come to me." Amelia clamped her hand over her mouth to stifle a whimper. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she didn't dare make a sound. The man reached the bottom of the stairs and paused, his head cocked as if listening. He took a step toward the sofa. "I can smell your fear," he growled. "It's delicious." She couldn't stay hidden. She had to run. Summoning every ounce of courage, Amelia bolted from her hiding spot, sprinting toward the hallway. The man let out a guttural laugh and lunged after her, the knife glinting in the dim light. Her bare feet slapped against the wooden floor as she raced through the labyrinthine house, her small body dodging overturned furniture and broken beams. Behind her, the man's heavy boots thudded against the floor, the sound relentless. "Run, little mouse," he jeered. "You're only making this more fun for me." Amelia darted into a narrow hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. She reached for a door and threw it open, slipping inside and slamming it shut. Her hands fumbled for a lock, but there was none. She pressed her back against the door, her chest heaving as she tried to catch her breath. The room was small and suffocating. A single broken chair sat in the corner, and the floor was littered with shards of glass and dark stains she didn't want to think about. Her eyes landed on a large, cracked mirror leaning against the far wall. For a moment, she thought she saw something move within its fractured surface, but she shook her head. It was just her mind playing tricks. A loud bang jolted her back to reality. The man was outside, pounding on the door. "You can't hide forever," he snarled. The door rattled under his assault, the hinges groaning in protest. Amelia's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. That's when she noticed it, the mirror. Something about it seemed wrong. The cracks in the glass formed a pattern, almost like a beckoning hand. Desperate, she approached it and pressed her palms against the cold surface. The mirror shifted. With a creak, the mirror swung inward, revealing a dark, narrow passage. Without thinking, Amelia crawled inside. The space was suffocating, the walls pressing against her shoulders as she inched forward. The air was thick with the stench of iron and decay. Behind her, the door burst open, and she heard the man's guttural laugh. "Clever little mouse," he called, "but you can't escape me." Amelia pressed on, her knees scraping against the rough floor. Her fingers brushed against something wet and sticky. She recoiled, but in the pitch black, she couldn't see what it was. The passage twisted and turned, leading her deeper into the bowels of the house. She felt like she was descending into the very heart of darkness. Her hand landed on something soft. She froze, dread coiling in her stomach. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the passage for a split second. What she saw made her scream. Piles of dismembered limbs and rotting flesh surrounded her, stacked like macabre trophies. The walls were smeared with blood, and the floor was slick with gore. She scrambled backward, her hands slipping in the viscera, but a hand shot out of the darkness and clamped around her ankle. She screamed, kicking wildly. The grip tightened, dragging her back toward the pile of remains. She twisted around, her eyes wide with terror, and saw not the man but something worse. A figure loomed over her, its face a patchwork of skin and bone, its eyes empty sockets oozing black ichor. It opened its mouth, revealing rows of jagged teeth, and let out a guttural roar. From the passage entrance the man watched, his knife at the ready, but even he hesitated, his twisted grin faltering as the unholy creature dragged Amelia into the darkness. For the first time he seemed unsure. Then a voice, soft, childlike, and filled with malice, whispered from the shadows, "You're next." The man's laughter died in his throat. He turned to run, but the passage slammed shut behind him, sealing him inside with the horrors he had unknowingly awakened. Amelia's scream echoed one last time before the house fell silent.